Hello guys, welcome to today's class. In this class today I'll be talking about conditional logic. Conditional logic in Python refers to making decisions in your program by using condition statements that evaluate to either true or false. Based on the results, your program can do things differently. Now, the most used way of implementing conditional logic is via if, elif, and else statements. Now, in conditional logic, is either you use if and else together. That is, when you start with if, you end with else. But if you have some other conditions in between, before the final condition, that is when you introduce elif. So we now have if, elif, and else statement that are used in conditional logic. Now, in case you have missed any of my class, because I started this class from scratch, how to write Python code. I started using Google Colab, the online cloud platform for writing Python code. Then we advanced like that. So in case you have missed any of my video, you can just connect with me on YouTube at Code with Abiodun-M6 so that you will be able to catch up with whatever I'll be saying in this video. Now let us go to our platform, the tool that I'll be using for our code, which is Visual Studio. I have actually talked about Visual Studio in one of my videos. Where I also talked about Sublime Text. We have different code editors and other platforms where you can write your Python code. Now, but in this video, I'll be using Visual Studio. Now, I have launched my Visual Studio. I have opened it. So, and also in the other video I created, I taught you guys how to create folder and also to create file. Now, for this class, I have created a folder on my desktop which I name online. So I have created it. Now, once I launch my Visual Studio, I can easily open that folder using my Visual Studio. You can also use Sublime Text, but in the scope of this class, I'll be using Visual Studio. I'll just click on Open File, and now this is my desktop where I created the folder. This is the online folder. Then I'm going to open it. I have a file that I've created inside that online folder. I called it agric.py. Now, .py is an extension for Python file. It could be .txt for text file, and doc for Microsoft. We know we have different extensions for different file systems. But for this one, I'll be using .py because that is Python folder. Then I'll select it and click on open. Now, as you can see, it has opened my Python file using Visual Studio. Now, I'm going to clean this away. Now, in the other video also, I talked about command prompt, how you can use your command prompt, how you change directory, make directory, how you can move from one folder to the other, and so on. Now, in this video, I'll be using my command prompt alongside with my Visual Studio. Now, I'm going to launch my command prompt. Now, why am I doing this? Because as a programmer, you need to know how to use your command prompt or bash in case you use a Mac operating system. You need to know how to write some scripts, as a programmer to control the code editor that you use for your program. Now, this is my root directory. So remember, I told you I've created my folder on the desktop. So I'm going to change directory to that folder now. And what's the name of the folder? The folder is on the desktop and it is named online. So I will just type my cd, then online. I can type the online info, or I can just type O and press my tab. It will suggest okay, on there I have to change to desktop first because the folder is on the desktop. So let me change to desktop first. I can type D, then press tab. It will suggest whatever that starts with D to me. And since I'm going to desktop, so I'll just stop at desktop and press enter. Now on my desktop, that's where I have my online folder that I created. So I will just change directory, that is cd, then type o. I can still press my tab if there's any folder that start with o, so you can suggest it to me. But as it is now, I only have one folder in that on that desktop, on my desktop, that is named online. So then I'll just press enter now, which means now I'm in my present directory. Now is this online folder that you are seeing here, using my command prompt. Now let's go to my Visual Studio. Now in this class, I'll be teaching you conditional logic in Python, how to use if, elif, and else. Now the example that we will be using a greenhouse. In a farming, agriculture, a greenhouse is where you can grow some crop, in a by controlling the atmosphere. Is an artificial way of growing crop, you know controlling the atmosphere. Maybe you're using automated system, or whatever way you want to create, control the atmosphere. So in this example, I'll be using, let's say, tomatoes as an example. If you want to grow your tomatoes in a greenhouse, there are certain conditions that you have to meet for you to get proper output. Now, one of the conditions I will be using as an example to make this class simple and straightforward for you to understand how to use your conditional statement is temperature. So I'll be using temperature. We have different conditions that you have to meet within the greenhouse for your tomatoes to do well. But for the sake of this class, I will make it simple. So I'll just be considering one of the parameters, one of the conditions that you need to regulate carefully for you to have a better output. So I'll be considering temperature alone. We have humidity and so on, but I'll just be considering temperature alone. Now remember, this is Visual Studio, not Google Colab. Before I've been using Google Colab, but now I'm using Visual Studio, and it's an example of a code editor. Now I'm going to write a comment here. I already told us, if you want to write a comment, you start with hash. You can just type hash first so that you can comment. So let's say I will just say creating conditions to check. Now in regulating atmosphere in a greenhouse, you consider the day and you consider the night for the temperature. So let me just write this comment to consider the day. So to check, let's say to check for day, let's just say to check for day, creating conditions to check for day. That is creating conditional statement to check for the temperature, how the greenhouse is doing in the day. So now the first thing I will be doing is to set my day and to set my night. Now, if you remember, I talked about Boolean value. Boolean value can only give you a true or a false. Now, if I say my day, I'm creating a variable now. I can say day is equal to, let me just set my day to be false first. This is a Boolean value. I'm going to, sorry, day to be false. Then I'm going to set the night to be true, because the conditions we want to check for our greenhouse has to do with day and night. So we have to be sure we are in the day or we are in the night. So I'm going to do that. Let me set night as true. These are Boolean values. They either give you a yes or a no. Now, remember, we use thermometer to measure our temperature. So which means another thing we need in our program is to set our thermometer reading. Let's say our thermometer, let me just type thermometer. Let me just set it to, let me just say 13 for now. Okay. I can bring this comment. Let me just cut it. I can bring it down here so that our these are like our constants. These parameters, the day, the night, the thermometer, are just like things that will determine what our conditions will give us. So I'll put them above the comment that I made. So now let me create the condition for the day. Now, for tomatoes to do well, the temperature in the for day, the temperature has to be, greater than 21, but less than 30. It has to be greater than 21 and less than 30. Now, let's say we now want to write a program that will automate the whole system. So we can say if thermometer, thermometer is what will give us the reading. If thermometer is greater, remember the comparison operators that we talked about. If thermometer is greater than 21, and also you should be familiar with the and that I just used now, because we actually talked about some operators in Python, and these are some of the examples that I talked about. So you can, in case you have missed any of my videos, you can just go to my channel and check whichever one you missed so that you can catch up with the class. Now, if thermometer is greater than 21 and thermometer is less than 30, it is less than 30, and also it is day. Now you remember I'm setting condition for day, and also day is equal to true. So we are saying if these are the conditions, the thermometer is less than 21 and it's greater than 30, and it is day, then the system, what should the program do? The program should do what say. So you can use your print function. Let's say I just put a comment. Maybe we should just say greenhouse atmosphere. Let's say greenhouse atmosphere. Greenhouse atmospheric condition is good. Let me put it that way. Condition is good. That is, if the thermometer is reading less than 21, greater than 21 and less than 30, then the program that we have written should print out what? That the atmosphere within the greenhouse is good. Now, that is a condition, but because we have different conditions for our temperature and for the greenhouse, so we can still go ahead and say, remember I told you we use if, we use elif, and we use else. You start with if, then if it is just one condition, let's say I just want to give it this singular condition, I can end it with else now. But because there are some other conditions I still want to give, then I will now say elif. Now you can use elif as many times as possible if you have different conditions that you want to give your program. So let me say elif thermometer, let's say, is greater than 29, and day, and it is day, and day is equal to true. That is, it is day. That is, day is equal to true. Remember, I'm creating conditions for day. We'll still do for night. Then put my semicolon. So I will tell the program to print out or to carry out a particular action. Say cooling system. You say cooling system. Oh, it's a statement I want to put, so I need to make it a string. I need to make it a string. Just say cooling system activated. Activated. Now, That is the second condition, because I want to give it like three conditions. I'll say, or maybe four conditions. It depend on, you can do it the way you want. It depends on the condition you want to give your program. Let's say I also want to uh, probably give it a condition that, okay, if it is now, this is if it is greater than 29 and it is still day, which means activating the cooling system now means that the temperature is becoming too much for the crop, for the tomato you are growing in that greenhouse. So what do you tell the cooling system? You activate it straight. As far as the condition in the greenhouse is this, as far as it meets this condition, then you say do this. Now let's set another condition for, let's say, if it is less than maybe 19 or less than 21. So I can say L if thermometer is less than 21 and it is still day, that is day is equal to true. Now, so we can tell the machine what we want the machine to do. Then we say that is heating system. We say let's activate the heating system. Once the code is becoming much, you can just activate the heating system. You can say heating system activated. Now, those are the conditions for day. These ones now have conditions for day. So let us create similar condition for night, because the kind of temperature we need at night is different from the one we have for day. So let me just copy this and paste it here. Remember, I'm still using elif. I've not closed it with else because there are still other conditions. We have day and night. We have only created conditions for day. Now let us create conditions for night. So I'll just put that comment here. You remember, comments will not run with your code. It's not part of the code. It's just to make notes as you are writing your code so that you can easily remember whatever you are doing. So let's set the condition for night and give it small gap. So I can say if thermometer, remember thermometer is the hardware that we are using to measure, our temperature. So if it is greater than 16 and thermometer is also less than 20, these are the conditions that we are giving the greenhouse. These are the conditions that we want to control within the greenhouse for us to have a very good output for our tomato. So let's say it is night now. Now night is true. That is at night. These are the conditions we want to set for night. So for example, so if remember, we are still giving it condition for night. So if our thermometer is greater than 16 but less than 20, what do we want our system to do? What do we want the machines that we have set in the greenhouse to do for us? So we are setting for night now. Now we can say our machine should carry out this condition or print out this condition. That is, I can just copy it. Let me copy this because I'm going to give it the same statement here, the print out statement. That is, if we have this condition, this particular condition at night, then it means the atmospheric condition within the house is very okay. Then we tell our machine or we tell our program to print greenhouse atmospheric condition is good. We are still going on because we have more conditions for the greenhouse. Can also go further and say thermometer. If our thermometer, let's say, is greater than 19 and it is night. Remember, this equal to is different from the normal one that we use for variable assignments. This one are just comparison operator. Let me set it to be true. Then, what is the condition? What do we want our program to print out? So you can tell it to say, okay, print out cooling system activated. So I can just easily copy this so that I don't retype everything and paste. Now that's another condition. We are still going further in our condition. If thermometer is less than 16, that is 16 degree now, and it is night, that is night is equal to true. What do we want our program to do? So let me copy this also. Now we set condition for day and night. So is it that a atmospheric condition within the greenhouse is okay, or the heating system needs to be activated, or the cooling system? So those are the conditions that we are actually going to set, and that is what we have just done here using the conditional statement. We started with if, then we have else if, that is, you can use else if in between as many times depending on the number of conditions you want to give your program. So if, let's say, this now, these are the conditions that we want to get from our thermometer. Now let us now say, assume that, okay, all these conditions are now there. What if the thermometer is bad and is not reading anything? Then we can now end it. We can end our condition with else. Remember I told you, you start with if, then you end with else. You can say, let's say, okay, let's put physically, let's say physically check the thermometer. The thermometer hardware, yeah, let's say hardware, because definitely it's an hardware that you put in the house, in the greenhouse. Let's say it might be damaged, or it might be faulty, because if the thermometer is not reading anything, definitely we are not going to know any of these conditions. It's not going to give us any output. So we have to tell our program that if we are not getting any of this reading at a particular time, then we should print out this particular statement, that is, physically check the thermometer hardware. It might be faulty, and that is true. Those hardware also can develop faults any day, anytime. So in case it's not reading any condition at a particular time, because that should be giving us update on the condition we have inside the greenhouse. But in case it's not reading anything, it's possible the thing has developed a particular fault. So that's why I'm ending it with this statement after the whole condition has been met. So once you type your code for Visual Studio, you need to save. You can just do Control S, just like you are saving in other application. Now for me, I have saved this agric.py before, if you have saved your own before, just press control S, and it will save it for you. Now you can actually click on this play like icon to run your code, but for me, I would prefer I run it through command prompt. So now if you want to run this program through command prompt, now the name of our file is what? agric.py, and we have it inside a folder that is named online on our desktop. So I'm presently in the folder that is named online on my own desktop. You can save yours in any of the directory on your system. Now if I want to run this program that I've just written on Visual Studio, even if it is Sublime Text that you are using, it's still the same thing. Just navigate to the directory where your work is, the folder where your work is, and if it is on the desktop that you saved it, fine. Just make sure you are in the right directory. For me, I'm in the online folder, and I will just type Python, then space. I'll now type the name that I used in saving the file. For me, I used agric.py. So by the time I press enter, you can see what it printed out for me. Heating system is activated. And why did it print out this heating system is activated? It's because of the condition that I gave it. We set our day to be true. We set the day to be true. You can see it here. The day is true. We set the day to be false, and we set the night to be true, which means our thermometer can either read during the day or during the night. But because we don't have a physical thermometer here, we are only writing the program that will run the physical thermometer. Now I have set the day to be true, and I've set the night to be true, and I've set the day to be false. So which means automatically I'm telling this program is that I'm checking for night and not day. I'm checking for night and not day. So if you see the output that this command prompt gave us, that printed out, it's printed heating system activated. Now what condition gave us the output? It is this condition here under the night. Let me see if maybe I can place them side by side. Yeah, you can still manage this. So it's printed out heating system activated, and this is the condition that gave us the heating system. Why? Because we say if the thermometer is less than 16 and it is night, that is night is true. And what do we have in our thermometer here? We have 13. And we say the condition, if it is less than 16 and it is night, it should print out this. And that is why we are having this heating system activated, and that's why it printed it out. You can actually run it using the Visual Studio itself by just clicking on this play like icon here. It will still give you the output at the bottom here. Let me maximize this back. Use this. So this is the terminal here. I guess the system is hanging, but if you run it on your terminal, if you click on this play like icon, it will print it out at the bottom here. Okay, I think it's coming up a bit, so let's wait for it. Okay, so you can see the heating system printed out here at the bottom. That is, if you want to use the terminal that comes with Visual Studio, you can just click on this play like icon, then it will print it out for you here. But as a programmer, it is very essential that you know how to use your command prompt so that you can have better output. So let me change this. Let's say I want to change this value of thermometer to, let's say 56. Okay. then I will have to save. As once you are changing any value, you need to save it. So I'm going back to my command prompt. If I type Python, then agric, remember that is the name I use in saving my own file.py. Then you put the extension .py and I press enter. You say cooling system activated. You can see it here, cooling system activated. And what was the condition that gave us the output? For, remember, night is true, so which means it's checking for night. Cooling system activated, as you can see, because it says if thermometer is greater than 19 and it is night, is our thermometer greater than 19? Our thermometer reading is greater than 19. We have 56 here, and it is night because we set night to be true. Now let us check for day. Let's change this to day. Let's say day is true. Let's say day is true and night is, because we can only have day or night. So let me put this at false. So let us use, so I'm going to save it. I'll press Ctrl S. I'll still use this 56 reading from the thermometer. So if I go back to my command prompt and I press Python space agric.py and I press enter, it says cooling system activated. Cooling system activated. Now let us check the condition that give us that cooling system activated for day. You can see from here, if our thermometer is greater than 29, it should say cooling system activated, and if it is day, and that is why, and what we have here, we have 56. So you can see that it is greater than 29, and that's why we have this condition. Now if you want to maybe just add some little things to it, like probably print out the time at which the system or the program gave you that output, you can also add some other conditions. Like, for example, I'll be introducing you to a module called date time in Python. So let me bring this down. Let me just put it at, maybe we want to check the time at which our program printed out the outputs. So you import the module from date time. This is available in Python library. Sorry, date time. The module date time. So you have to import it first, at this from date time. Date time is a library in Python. It is inbuilt. So if you want to use the date time, you have to import it first in your program. Then import date time. As you can see, it has imported date time. We have imported date time. Then I can now create a variable. I can say, let's say current date. I'll just put current date. Current time, sorry. Because I want us to print out the time that we printed out the result we had. So then now say date time. Now use the function date time. Then if it is now, I want to print the time now, that is the immediate time when the result was printed. So you can see I created a variable that is named current time. Then I use the function that is available in this library in Python, that is date time dot now. That is, we print the time, the present time. So I can now print current time. I'm print current time because that is the variable I created. This is the variable here. So then I'll press Ctrl S, that is to save my work. Remember, this is Visual Studio. You have to save your work as you are changing, as you are editing it, you have to change it. So by the time I go back to my command prompt, let me go back to it. Let me type Python space agric.py. If I say enter, it's loading a bit. Now, as you can see, it printed out the time. This is the time here. The it's printed out the time when our program printed out this result. It's printed out the time, and you can see my system time here. This is 3:59, and in 24 hours format, this is what we have here, 15:59, that is 3:59. Now this is 4 o'clock now on my own system. Let me reprint. Let me just change the condition and print. Let's say, let me just put 34. I'm going to save it, then go back to my command prompt. Let me type python.py again. Then Python space agric.py. Press enter. As you can see, 16:00. You can see my time here also. That is 4 o'clock. So it's printing this in Nigeria. So it's printing out the time at which I printed out this result. Polling system activated for day. Now remember, I talked about what if the thermometer is physically damaged or something has happened to the thermometer and it's not printing. So which means, let's say it's not reading day, it's not reading night, which means I'm going to set this to false. And I'm going to save it. So I've set day and night to false now. Both are at false. Then I will save it. By the time I go back to my command prompt, remember I'm using command prompt to control what I'm doing in my Visual Studio. By the time I say Python agric space agric.py, I press enter. As you can see, because it's not reading, the thermometer is bad, or something has happened, or somebody has removed the thermometer, anything can happen. So at this time, it's telling me I should physically check the thermometer hardware. That is, it might be faulty. Why? Because the thermometer is not reading whether day or night. It's not reading anything. So which means the only thing that can cause it is that the thermometer is not available there again. Maybe it was stolen, or it got damaged, or somebody mistakenly disconnected from what the thermometer was connected to, that will automate the system of checking and regulating the atmosphere within the greenhouse. So as you can see, it's printed out physically, check the thermometer hardware, it might be faulty, and that was the condition. See, that's the condition we gave it here, that in case it's not reading any of these conditions, then we need to check our thermometer if it is still okay or is faulty. So you can see how you use your conditional statements: if, if, and else. So you start with if. If it is just two conditions, you can start with if and end with else immediately. But if you have different conditions you want to put within the program, then you need to use if. And after your code, you put semicolon, and that's how you use your conditional logic. So in case you don't understand this equal to all these comparison operators that I'm using, you can check my videos on comparison operator, by connecting with me on YouTube at code with Abiodun-M6. Then you'll be able to update yourself on that. So that is that for this class. Thank you.